I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is a Patreon review for Unconditional Prawn, who wanted a review of the 1985 film The Black Cauldron. Now, this is a film I had heard of quite a bit. And before I go on, if you're ever interested in supporting me on my Patreon, the link is down below in the info box. And there's certain tiers. If you get certain tiers, you can have certain things. Or if you're interested in supporting the channel or just requesting pretty much any type of video, the link to my PayPal is down below in the info box. But get back to what I was saying. This is a film I had heard of for a while and had never seen. Never grew up with the film. But I heard about how it was a bit darker than the usual. And I believe it was a box office disappointment. And so it's one of the reasons why Disney kind of didn't do much of this in the future. At least after 85. Not a ton in that direction. I know some of the higher-ups were disappointed in the film itself. But I liked it. I didn't mind it. I have a couple issues with it, but it's a short, straightforward film. A young boy who's a caretaker of this farm, and one thing leads to another. He's a caretaker of this pig who has these visions, and the main villain, voiced by John Hurt. I'm like, that sounds familiar. I'm like, oh wow, John Hurt from Alien, among others. He plays the villain, which is the Horned King. And I gotta say, this villain was really, I just see why kids would probably be really scared by this villain because of the way it looks. It's like a much evil version of Skeletor. Like, this is a very, you know what this is? In a way, this is kind of like a Disney mixed with EC Comics. In a way. Like, you take EC Comics, but then you put a lot of Disney, Tinkerbell dust on it. And you get this interesting amalgamation because, like, John Hurt's character is straight out of EC Comics. Like, just how scary he looks, and then when he raises the dead and you have all these skeletons, and I'm like, that's definitely like EC Comics style, which was cool. It was cool to see. And I know there was stuff deleted that made the film a bit darker. Like, apparently there was a scene where when the dead are rising, something happens and people get burned and you see the boils on their skin, and like apparently a lot of other stuff got deleted. Sadly, you'll never see that. And you could tell something happens because during that scene when the army of the dead is rising up, the soundtrack skips a bit. So there's a little jump. But I do wish that was in the final product. But I mean, the gist of the story, this demonic spirit is trapped in the Black Cauldron, so the bad guys want it, and they want this pig because the pig can see visions, which is a bit weird, but okay. And the creatures, very menacing looking, which again I appreciated. Like the dragons, they don't look like your Disney dragons. They look fairly vicious. And like at one point the kid gets hit and there's like blood on his lip. And just I I don't want to say photography, it's an anime film, but like the look of the skies at times is like purple, and it kept making me think like, okay, I appreciate the fact that it seemed like the makers wanted, or at least it's still a Disney film. You know, you have a princess and the boy, and by the end they kiss, and it's a happy ending, which I prefer, and a bit of a fairy tale. You have humorous characters like this dog-like creature, which actually that was one of my least favorite things, this dog-type creature. I didn't really care for him. I didn't find his antics that funny. I found him a bit distracting. I think because the more serious stuff I really enjoyed. It was when it was kind of being pulled back into Disney. I kind of wish this movie was in a different studio. Like maybe go even a bit more of the serious factor and a bit less of the Disney factor. For example, get rid of this dog type creature, which I forget what his name was, but he becomes a big fan and friend to the lead, but he's also the type that's a coward and runs away, and the arc is that by the end he stops being a coward, and he's finally not one, and he does the ultimate sacrifice. But then again, for being a Disney movie, we don't want to let that settle in. So yeah, I didn't care for that character, but it does have a lot of good moments. The dark style of the animation, at times the horror and feel and tone of it, when the lead kid gets captured and is in this little dungeon, and you see like bones and skeletons, and I think this is, for what I understand, one of the early usages of CG, at least in animation form. And I'm not sure if this is true, but the princess has this like magic flying ball. And I don't know if that was CG. I'm not. Places say different things. People say like the flames on the Black Cauldron CG. Some people say that this flying ball thing CG. Which, now that I think about it, I don't remember what happened to that thing. I don't remember what happened to that magic flying light ball thing. Because I honestly, I cannot remember what the hell happened to it. Did it become part of the sword, and then that's why it was a magic sword? Or this, I must have blanked out there. But when he meets the princess and there's this burial chamber, they meet this bard played by Nigel Hawthorne, which frankly, I mean, rest in peace, Nigel Hawthorne. Good actor. This character you didn't really need. I mean, to be perfectly honest, all you needed was the boy and the princess. And then even if this magic ball was a character and didn't say anything, or you didn't like the bard, I don't think you really needed that character. Again, the dog type creature, maybe if he was less annoying, I could deal with him. But okay, he gets this magic sword. Cool. And the swords glow, and when the boy's hitting, it melts other people's weapons. He's able to fight off the minions. It cuts the chains off the bridge, the drawbridge. Cool. Badass sword. But then even that's disappointing, because by the end, the sword is given up because of this bullshit these three bitch witches. Oh, if you want the cauldron, give us the sword. Because even they know the sword's badass. Oh, you got the cauldron, but you can't destroy it. The only way to be stopped is someone has to sacrifice themselves. But I wish the sword would have come back, and the boy was fighting the army of the dead, and the magic sword was killing and destroying the army of the dead, and the boy's going through pieces of the army of the dead to get to the Horn-Teen, and then they have a big battle, and the sword either destroys the Horn-Teen, or the sword slashes him, and then he flies back to the cauldron. And like, they prop up the sword even in the marketing, but then they don't really, even the glaive in Krull, which I wish that was used more, at least it does get used against the beast and, you know, hits him. Here, that magic sword never goes up against our main bad guy or against the army of the dead, these undead skeletons. And I'm like, why not? It just becomes this bargaining tool. I mean, that sword was so cool and it was so fucking wasted, man. It was wasted. So again, I can't say I love the film because of stuff like that or some of the side characters. Again, Nigel Hawthorne's character, I don't think you needed that character. He didn't really bring much to it of memorability. It wasn't that memorable of a character. Memorability, yeah, that's a word. But yeah, I thought the voice work I heard was great, intimidating as the villain. Again, the horror feel tones and the dark animation made the film a nice visual experience. The fact that these people were taking a chance on this for a Disney property, I appreciate that. The story was simple enough. It was easy to follow. I thought the voices of the lead kid, the lead boy, and the princess, they worked fine. They were not irritating or annoying. I thought, again, they worked fine. The scenery where you have like bones and skeletons abound. The cauldron with the scary faces in the fire and this green mist was cool. Definitely, to me, that was the best part of the movie. And when the sword was in action, that was cool. And it's a short enough film. It didn't overstay its welcome. The way the bad guy gets it, where really the boy didn't do really much of anything at the end. It was mainly the dog type creature sacrificing himself, which kills the army of the dead, and then that's fucking up the cauldron. And then the boy didn't really do anything at the end, now that I think about it. Because really he's being pulled and he tries to get the kid, and then the bad guy gets to the cauldron and he gets turned to bones, which is a cool look. Bit graphic for a Disney film, I appreciate that. But yeah, the more I think about it, the kid didn't really do anything at the end. And he's our lead, like, hero. So, again, that just made the ending a bit less satisfying. Which again, it would have been fixed if you just have with the sword and he's slashing, you know, the army's undead, and then get into a fight. And granted, he's a boy, so he can't, you know, he's not a fucking master at it. But the sword would be his ace in the hole. He's not established using a sword, but the sword's power, it seemed like thanks to him, just use the chosen one, whatever they want to go with it, could have helped. At least like hitting one time and the bad guy flies back and then he gets pulled close enough to the cauldron, he's sucked in and turned the bones. At least something like that I think would have been a lot better, more satisfying. But again, with that said, the voice work, the animation, the art style, the risky, you're going a bit darker in this horror tone, is somewhat easy comics feel at times. I thought the music worked for the movie. I thought it was a good looking picture. Didn't get bored. It was easy to sit through. It was nice to finally watch after all that I've heard about it. I do have issues, like I said, but I mean the villain was really cool, intimidating. Like John Hurt, may rest in peace. He did a solid job with it. And yeah, overall, actually, is John Hurt still with us? Sadly, I don't think he is. I just want to make sure. Sorry, I just want to make sure real quick. Yeah, 2017. Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, 3 years ago. Wow. Pancreatic cancer. That sucks. That fucking sucks. But unheard somehow. If you hear this, you did a great job with this. So definitely one of the better Disney villains I've seen, just in its look and intimidation factor. That's the word that best fits it. I think overall there's enough good stuff to give it to watch to anyone who's never seen it, and it deserves a bit of better treatment on home video. Yeah, I mean, just find the deleted scenes, like put the whole uncut version out there. It seems like there's a lot of interesting backstory in the film. Get some making of material to detail that backstory. I think that'd be really interesting. But hey, that's just me. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in another video. Later.